A batch of teams enter the new season with championship or bust pressure draped across their shoulders. This video presents 4 teams that will face that pass or fail assessment in 2023-24 season, as each has an uncertain future that could, and should, be directly influenced by their performance this season, and failure to win at all demands rethinking the blueprint. For the Golden State Warriors, no matter what happens this season, Steph Curry and Draymond Green will remain Bay Area-based beyond it. However, just about everything could change around them, and some of those adjustments might be made in season relying on how the Dubs start. Since this core isn't getting any younger or cheaper, Klay Thompson's upcoming free agency portends a lot of tricky, uncomfortable discussions. Thompson's three-ball has played an invaluable role in the franchise's wildly successful run, but age and his injury history comprise an irreparable damage to his defense. If they have, a discussion must be had over whether he remains the ideal backcourt mate for Curry, as it's hard to imagine Chris Paul's tenure in the franchise spanning more than one season, as his $30 million salary for 2024-25 season is non-guaranteed. The real debate focuses on whether he even lasts this full campaign with the Warriors. If it's obvious they need to make a significant mid-season upgrade, Paul's salary would almost certainly be needed to make the money work. The Warriors only have so many cracks at this left, with Curry, who turns 36 in March, still clinging to his prime. Given how infrequently an all-time talent like him passes through, Golden State must do whatever it takes to best position him for success, and if this season proves they lack a championship roster, then everything should be on the table as they scramble to build one back up. For the Los Angeles Clippers, they can only stake their championship hopes on crossed fingers for so long. To date, none of that wishful thinking has amounted to the level of success the franchise initially envisioned when acquiring star wings Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in 2019, as one or both have been injured ever since. A brutal stretch of misfortune that has limited this core to 3 series victories and 0 NBA Finals trips in 4 seasons. The group still looks great on paper, but what does that matter if it never comes together in practice? It's hard to imagine the Clippers can stomach another fruitless, injury-filled season, particularly with potentially colossal paydays on deck for Leonard and George, as each holds a $48.8 million player option for the 2024-25 season, meaning both could enter unrestricted free agency next summer. They could be extended before then, but it sounds like there are some hesitations on the team's side to simply offer a max commitment, and why wouldn't there be? The Clippers have played 308 games over the past 4 seasons, with Kawhi missing 147 and George 119. It is, objectively speaking, a total bummer, because this club could be fantastic if it was ever full strength at the right time. Clippers thrashed its opponents by 8.9 points per 100 possessions with Leonard and George together last season. However, that twosome managed fewer than 1,000 minutes across just 38 contests. In as much as the team consists of a championship upside, how much does that matter when so much of that potential is tied to a pair of oft-injured 30-somethings? If this franchise's fortunes don't change this season, then its roster should in dramatic fashion next summer. For Sixers, you'd think it would be in a good spot by virtue of rostering the reigning MVP in Joel Embiid and having posted .600+ winning percentages in 3 consecutive seasons. And yet, the team seems on the verge of splintering before this season even starts. James Harden initially vowed to never again suit up for a franchise that employs Daryl Morey, while Embiid wondered aloud about winning a title, in Philly or anywhere else. Tack on an off-season coaching change with Doc Rivers out, and Nick Nurse in, and this feels about as unstable as you'll ever see a perennial contender. It might sound overly generous to label the Sixers as such. For all of their recent regular season success, this club hasn't advanced beyond the conference semis since Allen Iverson steered it to the 2001 NBA Finals. Perhaps there's another leap year in the works for Tyrese Maxey, or a better way to take advantage of Tobias Harris's scoring touch, as the Sixers, who had last season's 3rd best net rating, certainly aren't hopeless. But if the team fails this season, this core may not get another chance. Unrestricted free agency awaits Harden and Harris after this season, as Maxey heads to restricted free agency next summer, as well. If the light bulb fails to ignite, Embiid could be looking at a substantially different supporting cast this time next year, if not sooner. Phoenix Suns. The Matt Ishbia era will be nothing if not eventful in Phoenix, as the billionaire businessman assumed controlling interest of the organization in February, and has already overseen several massive moves. The team went all in at last year's deadline to add Kevin Durant and then doubled down this summer by sacrificing Chris Paul and most of their remaining draft assets to get Bradley Beal. In between those megadeals, they axed former skipper Monty Williams and brought in Frank Vogel, and they've since rounded out this top-heavy roster with a slew of veterans making minimum money. It's a fascinating wager, and one that almost certainly won't have a long shelf life, as the colossal cost of this core could be untenable under the new collective bargaining agreement, which places a host of punitive restrictions on the association's biggest spenders. If the money doesn't doom the Suns, Ishbia certainly doesn't seem to mind paying a premium. It's possible age or injuries could do them in. Durant and Beal are both on the wrong side of 30, and neither has the cleanest health history. While the Suns will likely keep the Durant-Booker tandem intact regardless of what happens this season, no one else on the payroll should feel super certain about their futures. This roster might be newly assembled, but it's already on a now or never time crunch.